Welcome, A7 fans. It's the Week 6 recap show of the A7FL, Mizzle and Dub style. Of course, I'm Dub. That's Mizzle, and Mizzle decided to wear the perfect shirt for this evening.
Oh, yeah.
Eat, football, and sleep. And then eventually got to put drink beer on that also. But nonetheless,
I think I have one that has something to that caliber. I just can't find it.
nonetheless, 7 games were on the banner tonight. But before we begin, now you've heard it said all broadcast along from myself and Derek and Scott. But of course, we are the Mizzle Dub Show. We also want to send our condolences and prayers to our good friend Chris Vera, who suffered a loss in his family. Like I said, today's broadcast is dedicated to him, and this show will be dedicated. So, Chris, I know at the moment you're sleeping right now, but whenever you watch this show, like I said, for Mizzle and myself, prayers are with you. He is definitely in a better place, and this is only see you later. The reunion will be greater. So, our thoughts and the prayers are with
Most
him.
definitely.
But 1, 2, 3, 7 games on the slate that took place in Week 6 today. There was, in a sense, a de facto division game for the title in Florida, which the Nightcrawlers won easily and handily, as they were expected to do. Interesting stuff going in Ohio, as the Chaos once again will be the division champion representative for Ohio, as they beat the Volcanoes 52-0. And then earlier today, as I was preparing to go do my broadcast, you and I were back and forth between the Octane and the Heist. Now, the final score will say 26-2.
Yeah.
But truthfully speaking, the score did not really tell the story of the game. It
was competitive. The Octane made some good stops. They just couldn't
finish.
They just couldn't punch it in. Yeah, they just couldn't punch it
finish.
in. The defense was tremendous. I mean, like you said, the score will make it look like it was lopsided.
It wasn't.
The Octane made some stops, and the Heist really had to, drive that in there to get that 20 points. So it wasn't like an easy game. No. But yeah, they couldn't punch it in towards the end.
Well, as we were saying earlier, and like I said, you and I normally go back and forth in the early moments before I go on air, and then of course you are as diligent in the chat as Denzel Daniels was today. That's why you couldn't get your 2, as you normally ask of him. But the playoffs are coming, so you possibly might get in the playoffs. But I mean, it's just the Octane. There's some talent over there. Just like the Heist, there's some talent over there. The Heist is, I don't want to say they're like sick-witted, but the analogy I'm going to use is kind of like sick-witted, how sick-witted had the talent, but for whatever reason they couldn't get over the Insomniacs until 2 weeks ago. I kind of feel that way. I kind of feel that way about the Heist when it comes to the Chaos, because obviously last year you go back to the championship game that they had for the division. It was a tight game, went into overtime, and it took a pick 6 interception for the Chaos to beat that, which the final score ended up being 18-12. So offensive football, it was not. It was a defensive struggle in the battle, but at the end, it was the Chaos defense that got the win. The Chaos, obviously, a lot better than what they were a season ago. How will that translate when they have to come out to Vegas to play a Vegas team? We'll soon find out, which, of course, the Vegas playoffs will start on June the 9th. Of course, the championship game will be, of course, in July, on July the 21st in Ohio. So hopefully yours truly can make the trip out there to watch the championship game, as I was there last year in Bullhead City in a fantastic game between the Nightcrawlers and
July. You said July 21st?
July 21st is the championship game in Ohio, yes.
All right, I'm going to try to put vacation in. I'm going to try to come out there with you guys.
Well, that definitely would be an experience, to say the least. I don't know if the Joppos will join us like they did in Bullhead City. That remains to be seen, because that definitely would be an experience to behold there in Ohio. But nonetheless, 52-0. The Chaos beat the Volcanoes. So the Chaos, second straight year, are the cream of the crop in Ohio. The Nightcrawlers, cream of the crop in Florida with a 56-6 victory. The Nightcrawlers with some new uniforms and looking very greeny-like, if you will, almost a Hulk-like. But there was some history that took place
Boy, wasn't there.
in the Sunshine State as Mosey Williams, number 40 of the Orlando Ghost, with the only score for the Ghost, but it was a memorable score as he takes the 3-0 return 109 yards. I did not stutter, folks. I said 109 yards. He took the 3-0 return. Now, again.
Up on YouTube? Can we? Is there a way we can look at it? I wish we had the video. We could have showed it if we had the video.
If we could have gotten the clip, we definitely would have played the clip. But I know it's in the feed for the Ghost and the Nightcrawlers game. That feed is on the YouTube channel. So if you want to go to the YouTube channel and look up Ghost and Nightcrawlers, that's where you can find the 3-0 return. I know Derek was posting a whole lot of clips on the Nevada page of what happened here in Nevada, which was some outstanding stuff. And then back to Ohio, the Explorers and the Crush played an interesting game of football. I guess it was their version of a doubleheader from what the information that we was gathering was given to us. So I guess it was two halves of football. The Explorers won both games. Game one, I guess you can call it, the final score was 18-6, and the second game was a final of 8-0. So for what it's worth, the Explorers get 2 wins. For what it's worth. But again, Nightcrawlers claim the Florida division yet again for a second straight year. They beat the Orlando Ghosts 56-6. The Cincinnati Chaos beat the Olatake Volcanoes 52-0 as the Chaos for the second straight year. They claim supremacy in the Ohio division. Of course, Heist beat the Octane 26-2. But I think the Octane, they got some talent. They just need to all put it together. And maybe so they could be competitive with the Chaos and with the Heist, as the Chaos and Heist seem to be the cream of the crop in Ohio, which leads us to today in Nevada. The games, I mean, 2 of the games we expected to go the way that they did.
Yeah.
Sick with it, not picking up from where they left off 2 weeks ago. They took care of business as they only played a half as the pit bosses forfeited the rest of the game after halftime. Sick with it gets the win, 36-0. But also, hopefully, Jeremy Geary, 6 quarterback. Hopefully, he's okay as he took a nasty spill in the game. And the funny thing is, it was the play to where he caught his own pass. The ball was deflected. He caught it, and then, unfortunately, from the information we was given, his teammate landed on him, and so obviously they took precautions.
He did walk off on his own power, correct?
He walked off, laid on the trainer's table, and the trainer was keeping dibs on him. But eventually, he made the call to have him go get looked at for concussion protocol. So hopefully JG's okay. But we got to see a new wrinkle. We got to see Lavish Edwards in at quarterback, and ran the offense pretty good. Of course, when you have Darren Palmer, good things normally
always seem to happen. Yeah,
always seem to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
As he found the end zone again. Lavish found the end zone again. Andrew LaManna, he had a very solid game. He found the end zone, and just again the continued great play up front with Lugo, Sal, and Diggs. Just have sick with it. Of course, if the season ended today, they will be the number 1 seed. But they do have 1 game next week, as there will be 2 games next week on Memorial Day weekend, which normally there's not games in the league on Memorial Day weekend, but because of situations that happened back in week 2, 2 games will be played, so those games will be completed. Those games will take place at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., and we'll give the names of the teams playing as it progresses. But again, we had Palmer, we had Lavish, and they came on an interview with us after the game, and basically
tremendous interview, by the way, tremendous interview.
Yes. And I mean, they gave some good insight, and keep in mind, Coach Mark was not there. He was tuning to whatever he was tuning to, but the machine still ran smoothly, and they took care of business. But I mean, the Viking has harped on it all year. It's a different look. I mean, a majority of the core is still there, but And of course, I asked him just the addition of Diggs Lou. How big was that for the team? And you heard Palmer and T Lab said it
Mm-hmm.
was just dynamic. It was huge. And
Mm-hmm.
like Lavish said, Coach Mark is not building for just a season. He is building to, he's trying to build something, and you can see it. And hence why people think they really have a legitimate shot to win the national championship.
Well, it all started last week when they gave a competitive game to the Insomniacs. Yeah. And so the question was, will they be able to continue off that? And they sure did come and started off fast, even with the transition of getting a new quarterback in there. But it seems like, but come on, man, Lavish is a fucking athlete. So would you expect anything less? So just spectacular for him to step in and just keep the machine running. That was a hell of a game.
Now, the only question I would have if JG is not available for the playoff, would Lavish get the reps back, or would they go to Miles Douglas because Miles Douglas has a cannon of an arm. He definitely can sling the rock.
Yes.
Um, Option, of
I
course.
mean, why wouldn't they not? I would give him a look. I mean, just have him prepared.
Yeah, you're not
And
wrong
there's
on that.
nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong with ever running a two-back quarterback system. But you know how we always speak. Go with the hot hand. And if and Lavish had the unit looking pretty good, so why change it? Unless they're coming with a different game plan. That's all that is. But if they're going to try to stick to the same game plan they use, don't try to fix something that's not broke.
Well, again, I mean, when you have a big line up front like they do with Lugo, like they do with
Yes.
Diggs, like they do with Big Goose, Mr. Sal, the former Vanderbilt Commodore, um, it, big boys, and just be patient. And once they give you a crease, just hit the hole and go full throttle and
Go.
go full speed ahead.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Darren Palmer touchdown was just a perfect example of that, of how DP was so patient and waited for his blocks to open up. And then once he saw the crease, Darren Palmer did the
Goodbye.
rest. And hence he found the end zone.
Yeah.
So, sick with it, with a chance to have a undefeated regular season. But of course, as we know, for them, it's not about the it's not about the division championship. They want to win. They want to
Whole
have
thing.
rings on the X out. They want the
Yep.
championship, and they certainly have aspirations for that, for sure. For sure. Um,
As they
so
should. They're playing good
yes,
football.
they are playing fantastic football. Needless to say, the pit bosses. I was
I
I
don't
was
know what
thinking,
happened.
I
I don't know what
coming
happened.
coming off the win that they had
Yeah.
against OTT and the way that they did it, all the way Corsi and Cunningham were developing a rapport, and it was good, and it was just getting better as the weeks were going on. And then today, I just don't know what happened, but I mean, again, as Derek pointed out, when you're having a merge and you have all these new players and you're trying to get everything together, it is hard to mesh, especially when it's late in the season. I mean, you can understand if it was in the beginning of the season, but because it was so doggone late, it's just it's hard. It really is
Yeah.
hard, and you feel for them. You applaud their effort. You applaud them for making it, for trying to happen.
Yeah.
Um, but in the sense, it's just okay. Well, what do you do? Well, they'll try to go back to the drawing board and try to end the regular season on a winning note, as they will also be a part of the two games next week, which will take place at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. So it'll be late afternoon, early evening for us in Nevada. So please, please, please tune us in next week to watch the regular season finale here in Nevada, as playoffs in Cincinnati will start on the 2nd of June, and also in the Northeast. And kudos to Matt Ryan and Corey Hammond, as they did their own version of the cast that Mizzle, Knox, and JP did, as they were calling the Nightcrawlers and the Ghost Game from a couch, if you will.
Nice.
Great segment to where Matt Ryan was literally calling a play like he was singing "Hello" by Adele, which was very great comedic stuff. I would suggest you try to check out that clip there. But for those that are chiming in and watching, hello, welcome. This is the Mizzle and Dub show A7FL recapping Week 6 here on the A7 as there were 7 games on the slate. Saw some history of the Mosey Williams of the Orlando Ghosts setting a new record for the longest 3-on-1 return in history.
While we're speaking of it, let's see if I can find it while we're doing the recap here.
Find the clip of Mosey Williams going $109 in the grass in the Sunshine State. But stick with it. Looking to close out the regular season as an undefeated team and be the number 1 seed in the Nevada playoffs and the West playoffs, if you will, which that, of course, will start June the 9th at Matter Academy East. Also today, a rematch from the 21st of April, which turned out to be a 44-20 score for the Force and over the top. This particular game, it turned into 48-6 between the Force and OTT, but just the continued improved play of De'Aaron Fox, who is a fantastic interview. Looking at Mizzle's reaction, he's like, "Are you kidding me,
bro? They had him. They literally had him. Hey, he gave the dude the business, the first dude the business though. Yo, hey, the dreads was swinging, bro. He took off. Hey, that was sweet. And then he did the pose. Oh yeah, that was nice. That was nice. That was a nice return. Yeah, shout out to that. Look that up on YouTube, man. That was
sadly
all
enough,
effort.
Sadly enough, that was the only highlight for the Ghost as the Nightcrawlers, the defending Eastern Conference champions, took care of business and won by 56 to 6. But
wow, yeah,
Mosey Williams, number 40 of the Orlando Ghosts, no matter what he does, he will have that. And that certainly you can save that for the archive. So if there ever is the best of the 3-on-1 return, that definitely has to be in the countdown.
That definitely goes. His touchdown to go up there with Munchie celebration. That's got to be the best thing that happened to the the league so far this year. 2 greatest things I didn't see: sideshow and the longest return.
Well, I'm sad to report that Munchie did not have his car there today. So
that's okay. He doesn't have to ever do a celebration again. That was it. I mean, I don't know how you can top that. Unless you just come in with a helicopter or some shit like that. But that's the only thing you do.
Okay, now if he pulls a helicopter touchdown celebration like he is J.R. Ewing from Dallas, I will walk off the side. You know what? There's no coming down off the side because there's no way we can top this at all.
Straight up.
But De'Aaron Fox, who is a fantastic interview, just a fantastic human being, in addition to being a talented player. But he was solid again today. But again, I keep saying this. It's just a football.
Yes.
He like you get the ball in Darren Palmer's hands, good things happen. You get the ball in Eric Schufert's hands, good things happen. You get the ball in David Clark's hands, good things happen. You get the ball in A.G. Cunningham for the pit bosses, you get it in his hands, good things happen. If you let Savion be Savion, let Savion run with the ball, you know what Savion Cunningham can do. Because that's just what he does.
Don't let him get loose on the 3-on-1. Don't let him you gotta, don't let him get to the edge. That's the one thing. Or you know what? It doesn't matter where he goes because I didn't see him make a move where he cut upfield. He took the edge. The man is just an athlete, just an all around good athlete, football player. So yeah, that stacked.
But Derek kept asking the question of, do you not let him be on the returns all the doggone time? Which, again, we go back to last season where he scored half of the points for Over the Top. Now, this one Over the Top was playing Ironman football. Obviously, OTT has a lot more depth. But it's just, I don't know. I mean, as we talked to Willie Perry after the game against the Pit Bosses, and he basically said we got to drop the egos. Seems to be, and that seems to be a big thing going on the OTT side. It just seems like bickering and back and forth. I don't know if it is or not. Again, I'm not at the practices. I'm not in the chat rooms.
Yes.
This is just what's going on. But I mean, you can. Tiger, if I may, has definitely left, and you just don't know how you can put it all back together. But I mean, you definitely want to try to go out there and show some pride because, like I said, there are some talented players on that team. You have dynamic. You got a lot of dynamic returners because Keith Ramsey has shown he can return it. Obviously, John Burrell, formerly known as the Cheetah, has definitely shown that he can do it. You definitely know who Savion Cunningham is.
Yes.
He can do it. So I mean, they're challenge for over the top to be underachieving, like we said. But with the additions that they made before the season started, we thought that OTT definitely could play a huge factor, and perhaps take the next level or get into the next tier in the division. And it started off so well. It really did. And then it just seemed like the first loss to the Force, I don't know if it messed with their psyche. I don't know if it broke their confidence. I don't. It's just mind boggling because, like I said, there's just too much talent on that team for them to be underachieving. It's like teams we've talked about on our show that just too much talent, and it just seems like every year they underachieve. And that seems to be the same thing. But I mean, back to the Force. Jaden Webb again, outstanding. Any way Jaden Webb could score today, he did. It seemed like he scored on one return, had a pick six. The play at the end of the half was just perfect execution, perfect play call. But then again, when you have a guy like De'Aaron Fox that can throw the ball so beautifully on the deep ball, as he can just do it. I mean, well, first off, when you have time to throw, when they're only rushing one or two defenders, you pretty much have time to throw, and you pretty much have time to just step into it and just let the thing fly.
Yeah.
And well, you let it fly. Jaden Webb was there, and Jaden Webb was calling touchdown. But the funny thing was, and unfortunately it wasn't caught on camera, but LaKendrick Phillips of the Force was literally taking his Gatorade bottle. His cleats were off. He was taking the Gatorade bottle and doing his old Usain Bolt impression when Usain Bolt ran and they got the fire extinguishers to put the fire on in his shoes. Well, LaKendrick Phillips took the water bottle and squirted it at his feet to put the fire out because that man is on fire.
He was flaming.
Talking about his teammate, Jaden Webb. But also something that Scott pointed out today, there was the turf earlier today. The turf monsters was making an appearance because
it was pretty lethal this early.
Yeah, but then again, as Scott said, and just watching football, no, normally as it starts to get warmer, obviously the rubber in that filter obviously expands, and hence that's why you see a lot of slippage. And that's why I was asking, well, do you go to the turf shoe, or do you just keep the cleats and you just keep the cleats and just make sure that you're able to cut effectively? Now, of course, in a perfect world, we would all be playing on grass football because I mean, football on grass just feels better, and it's feels good on the joints, feels good on the feet, feels good on the ankles. But times are different.
We also forgot to mention another great return that happened today, but it was also in the Heist and Octane game. Andrew Ruffin took one to the house today, and what he did
almost
is put two people on their ass.
he almost had to. Well, he should have had to, but
he should have. Yes,
one came back because of the penalty. But the one that you are speaking of, yes, Mr. Ruffin, no relation to David Ruffin of the Temptations, but he was trying to leave them, and he was going to let go because he was trying to find the end zone and found the end zone. And again, just tremendous win for the Heist. Again, as the Heist looking to take that next step, looking to eventually get over the hump that is the Chaos, because that's the one team keeping the Heist from possibly being the best team in Ohio. But for the second straight year, it's the Chaos. But again, the defense of the Force, and we've been talking about it all year long. Tone Smith sets the tone on defense. Him gets Weaver going, gets Fleming going, gets Flowers going, gets the big ooze gets Sewell going, and it's just the
Yes,
relentless
indeed.
pressure that they have shown.
Yeah.
And of course, Coach Mack, who was gracious enough to the head coach of the Force, came by and talked to us after the game and basically said, "That's my bread and butter, the defense." But now that he has a defensive coordinator, he can just now go back to being the head coach. And the defensive game plan has just continued to be put together. And then, of course, what Rock is doing, being the offensive coordinator and basically showing Deion Fox the ropes on how to improve and play quarterback at this game in this league is
Yeah.
definitely coming into fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And thus and therefore, that's why the Force trending up with a 4-game winning streak. And, I mean, they possibly could be that feisty team that might could possibly give some teams some problems here
Oh boy.
in the Vegas playoffs that, again, will start on June the 9th at Matter Academy. Then in the nightcap, expected, the Insomniacs, not with a full roster as some players were not there, but they still put up 48 points as Zach Luciano ran the offense. But the block that Jeremy Corey had on Zach's touchdown run.
Yeah, buddy.
I mean, you want to talk about busting out with madnisms. That was a boom and a whap all into one, and it was perfectly legal. Which again, that clip is currently on the Nevada A7 players page. If you have not watched that clip,
it was a damn good block.
You might want to watch that clip. But JJ Pugh who normally is stout on defense, he ran the ball effectively and took one to the house for a touchdown. Of course, Shuford seems to always find the end zone, which he did again. But again, big men should not be running agile like that.
Or making cuts like that either. Oh my goodness.
Mr. Haywood, whose name on the jersey is "You're Too Small," basically made a lot of goal defenders feel small. And also, while talking about the goal, I also said during the broadcast, we also want to say here on the Mizzle and Dub Show for Lasante Anderson, who wears number 7 in the gold. Say a prayer for him as he is he's dealing with something in his family. So keep him in your prayers, along with Chris Vera. Keep him in your prayers. Also keep Jeremy Geary in your prayers. But the Insomniacs, and talking to Zach at halftime, and he basically said it best: you never want to lose, because no team never wants to lose. But he said we had to get punched in the mouth to see what it feels like. And now it seemed like that them taking the L, in a sense, reawakened them. And again, the aspirations to repeat for the Insomniacs are still there. That we do know. Because, I mean, like I said, heavy is the head that wears the crown, obviously. And we know that
the target is on their back.
Yeah, it is. And you can definitely see that. But nevertheless, the Insomniacs took care of business, got the win 48-0. They finished their season as their season officially comes to an end. The regular season officially comes to an end, and they finished with an impressive 6-0 record. Like we said, they tied the all-time record for longest winning streak.
Yes.
In A7 with the Patterson U at 17. So those two stand alone at the top of the mountain as regards to winning streaks in the A7FL. So, I mean, that's certainly a proud accomplishment to be proud of. Like I said, it nearly was 2 calendar years since the last time they lost a national season game. So, I mean, you just have to appreciate, tip your cap, and just, pay homage when homage is due. But they will now just relax, take the week off, and scouting and ready for the finals. But also, it was great to see Scooter back out there.
Yes.
Even though he didn't play, he went through a challenge, but he looks good. Good to see him back out there as he was coaching and doing his thing. And I will say, the people in the chat, Cody Johnson, you were a fool for saying what you said about Mason and Daniel Packer. That was I mean, I know for a fact if he made that comment in our feed, we definitely would have hang a star on that baby,
Oh yeah,
and
sure,
that
yeah.
and that was deserving of a star for
Mm-hmm.
sure, which was quite amazing. But it turned into a very eventful day.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, the winds played a part again, and
as always.
canopies were all over the place. But again, saw some history, saw a great throw and return for a touchdown.
A lot of
Uh,
big men with football today too. Well, I mean
yes,
that's pretty much the staple that's going on now week by week. We're starting to see a lot of big men with football, but hey, and I'm here
well,
for it. And you heard what he said. Go ahead and make that shirt. I'll support that bad boy.
a big man with football shirt definitely needs to
Yeah, be made.
come come into fruition, and
Mm-hmm.
you know get get the sales going. That's for sure. But I guess what would be the one thing you would take away from week 6 as the playoff stretch is coming, if you will?
Well, you see a lot of teams are preparing for it. You know, you saw Sick with it. They seem like they're trying to get into the playoff mode. Uh, just the, I guess I would have to say the return, the 100-yard return. That was spectacular. Glad that I got my eyes on it before we get the show. But that's what I would take away from that is just that Sick with it took what they did the week before, and or was it 2 weeks before? Because Mother's Day was last week, so 2 weeks ago, and the break off didn't slow them down. They still stayed with the same pace, and yeah, and just gonna see what interesting what the Insomniacs are gonna do because are they going in as the number two?
So if the playoffs hypothetically, we're being hypothetical right now, so
Yes,
don't shoot us. We're just playing hypotheticals.
yes.
But if the season were to end, they would be the number 2 seed in the playoffs. Sick would be number 1. Force would be 3, and of course, so on and so forth with the Nevada playoffs. Now,
Okay.
obviously, 1 would play the 6, 2 would play the 5,
Yeah.
um, so on and so forth. So then you would get the final 4. So that means you would probably see Sick and the Force play each other, and then that's when the chaos would come out here, and they would play the Insomniacs, and you would get that rematch of last year's Western Conference Championship,
Mm.
which was won by the Insomniacs as Mr. Wilkerson had himself a day in Ohio
Yes.
finding the end zone. And again, we had talked about it. Um, I really enjoy the locks that is Stone Stevenson. His hair is flawless, and it seems never to be out of. It never seems to be out of place, for that matter.
Did Mr.
But
Stone have an interception today as well?
he had an interception, and then he also was part of the no, you take it, no, I'll give it to you, and you finish the rest of the way
Oh, that was very creative.
as
That was
Munchie
very
cut
creative.
as Munchie caught the ball for a first down,
Yes.
laterals to Stone. Stone turns around, throws a fastball to Wilkerson, and Wilkerson obviously took it the rest of the way.
Yeah. You wasn't
Saw
catching that
saw
man.
yeah, you saw Wilkerson played a lot on defense today, which
Yes.
he's also very good and dynamic at defense. And
Mm-hmm.
certainly AJ was looking like his old normal self. But him, Jeff Young, and Jay Harris, number 45 and number 44, respectively, on the Insomniacs defense.
Yes.
Those two today definitely was playing like they had some anger issues that they wanted to get out on the
Oh
football
yeah, yeah.
field. Um,
You clearly saw that.
but
They
also we
probably
could say,
won't tell us that, but the
no,
eyes never lie.
I don't
Well,
know.
sometimes they do. Sometimes they do, but
Well, the on the football field,
yes,
Mr. Young and Mr. Harris was they had that razor sharp laser focus,
yes,
if you
indeed.
will. But also you could say the same thing for Mr. Matt Murphy for Sick with it because he was everywhere. It seemed like Ike Corsi had no time to throw because it seemed like number 5 on Sick was just seemingly there in every single play for that matter. As two shutouts. Um,
Mm-hmm.
one did find the end zone, but it was just good balance from Sick on both sides of the ball, good balance from the
Yep.
Force on both sides of the ball, and good balance from the Insomniacs on both sides of the ball. So again, as
Which is a
for
good way to go into the playoffs. I mean, that would be a good way.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So again, as previously mentioned, next week there will be two games at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. The first game will be Pit Bosses and the Gold, as the Pit Bosses will try to finish the regular season on winning note, try to get their third win, and the Gold still trying to get that first win of the season. But I mean, normally, 9 times out of 10, you normally get a pretty good competitive down to the wire game. Hopefully, you will get that with the Pit Bosses and the Gold. That's at 4 p.m. and Under the Lights at 7. Closing out the regular season will be Sick With It taking on OTT. Now,
Oof.
something I pointed out to Scott, which is really intriguing, and he kind of looked at me like you might be onto something, but it just seems like ever since OTT stopped playing Under the Lights, um, I don't want to say them playing not. I don't want to say them not playing lights is their kryptonite, but
Mm-hmm.
it seems like when they have played day football, for whatever reason, it is not clicked, and their two wins came under the lights. Now, again, the last time these two teams played each other in SICK and OTT, it scoring game in the history of the A7FL, to which SICK put up
Oh boy.
92 points to OTT's 38. So that was a historic landmark game, certainly here in Nevada, as you had the highest scoring game in history of the A7FL. So I'm not saying that that's going to duplicate, but obviously
Maybe.
this will be a six final tune-up before the playoffs, and they take to their championship aspirations and goals and dreams. But also, I will say, our good buddy Mr. Knox, 25 Live, Knox had a little bit too much fun on the
Man, you
mic
can.
being the PA announcer today at Matter Academy. But
Oh man.
he has never had a loss for words. And
And
then
and
Ronald,
I would have to agree with the Viking. Those shorts were pretty spectacular.
yes, very tropical like the shorts
Yeah.
that Knox 25 Live was wearing. As you were getting a very high camera view of us from atop the ladder. Now I know. Now I must know how Shawn Michaels felt when he jumped off the ladder at a WrestleMania with that camera view up there. But get out of here and call it a night. I really want to give a shout out to Mel and Derek, as they were literally doing everything from cameras to production to having people on the scoreboard. Um, Hardest working man in sports. I don't care what anybody says. Shout
Well,
out to him and shout out to Flash
everything
Media.
can't get nothing done without behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely got to have the behind the scenes gets the things done.
It was just him and Derek doing it all, and like I said, Derek had a lot of fun being back in the booth because for people,
I
well,
can definitely tell.
for
Definitely can.
people that don't know, Derek and Casey were the broadcast team in the very first season back in 2022, and Derek was definitely having fun being in the booth with me and Scott, as he was playing the Chris role today. But it was just great having him in there and having his insight in football, and he was also asking some very
Yeah.
good questions in the interviews with Zach, with Coach Mack, and
And you guys got to
Mr.
stop giving
Fox.
away free plugs, man. You got to stop doing that. The man mentioned it like 4 or 5 times. Y'all just wasn't catching on.
Let me mention something from the Rocky movies, and it's all fair game.
Well, he gave you clearance on that
Yeah,
and
he
everything
yeah
else.
he'll give me Balboa clearance,
Oh
and,
yeah.
and what about my prime Mick? At least you had a prime, and then of course cut me Mick, cut me. But even though I was making reference from the '80s, I'm like, really, you're gonna give me you're gonna give me crap about this? But yeah, but nonetheless, just to recap what happened today in Week 6 of the A7FL, it was the Nightcrawlers and the Ghost in Florida for the Florida Division. And again, the Florida Division goes to the Tampa Nightcrawlers, the defending Eastern Conference champions, as they beat the Ghost by a final score of 56-6. In Ohio, it was the Chaos reclaiming the crown as Ohio Division champions yet again, winning
Mm-hmm.
against the Volcanoes 52-0. Heist in the Octane in Indianapolis. The Heist get the win over the Octane 26-2. But like I said, The score really did not tell the story of that game because the
Yeah.
Octane fought hard, and the highest had to earn all of those 26 points in order to get the win. The QC Crush and the Columbus Explorers played a interesting doubleheader, for lack of a better term of feel. The Explorers won both instances by a score of 18-6 and 8-0. Um, Here in Vegas, it was Sequita 36, Pit Bosses nothing, as Sequita continues with their undefeated record at 6-0, looking to make it a perfect lucky 7 next week in the nightcap against Over the Top. Over the Top took another beating by the Force by a score of 3-6 as Jaden Webb. I want to say Jaden Webb had the sombrero of touchdowns in many different ways: touchdown
Yeah.
catch, pick six, throw
Yeah.
and return,
Yeah.
and maybe he might have had a rushing touchdown. I don't know. I just know he found the end zone 4 times. But again, Deion Fox continued to play a very good play at the quarterback
Very.
position. And in the nightcap, it was the Insomniacs beating the goal 48-0 as Zach Luciano ran the offense, ran it pretty good. And the Insomniacs do what the Insomniacs do. They got back on track, as most of us thought we would, as most of us thought that they would get back on track. And they did, pitching a shutout as they will finish their regular season at 6-1, and now they will get ready to defend their title. And again, history was made in the A7FL as Mosey Williams, number 40 of the Orlando Ghost, sets a new record for the longest 3-on-1 return in history as he goes 109 yards. Again, if you have not seen the clip, please go to the A7FL YouTube page and look in the feed between the Nightcrawlers and the Ghost, and you can see that history-making return that took place here today, since it is still Sunday out here on the West Coast, as it is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
2:28 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the
Whew.
Eastern Time Zone. But I think for me, it's just the efficiency by Sig not missing a beat as Lavish came in, ran the offense well, and Sig just continued to show their dominance. Again, high level, but again, just the continuing play and maturity of Deion Fox could possibly lead to some big things for the
Oh
Force.
yeah.
But I mean, Coach Mack made a good point on about um, it's not easy finding those 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers that you can just throw the jump ball to and throw it at its highest point to get that. It's hard to get people like that. But I
Yeah.
mean, also take having a Jaden Webb on his team and a Lockett with those two guys and
All
their
day.
dynamic speed, and not to mention the physicality in the backfield with Alexander and with Rogers in the backfield that helps sets up the play action pass
Mm-hmm.
for Deion Fox. And of course, the Insomniacs being the Insomniacs, they look ready to make a defense of their title and go
Yeah.
for the repeat, which again,
Whew.
all this starts on June the 9th at Matter Academy, the playoffs. And like I said, very interesting to see uh, how many players from the Chaos will make the trip out here to Vegas, because as we know, that's always a interesting dynamic of how many of your team can fly out there and will go out there to cross country play a game. So
Yeah.
that'll be interesting to see. But for me personally, um, I am very interested to see Keno Thomas live in person
Oh.
from the Chaos, which he was a very dynamic player last year. Obviously, has enhanced his game this year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you saw the talent last year in the conference title game against the Insomniacs, but looking forward to seeing that in person. Just seeing what kind of a team the Chaos is. Again, depending on who they match up against, more likely it will be against the Insomniacs, a rematch of last year's championship game in the Western Conference. So, I mean, we shall see. But just
Yes,
the
sir.
team, the top tier teams doing what I expect them to do.
Yep.
You were hoping to see a little bit more out of OTT. Hoping to see a little bit more out of the Pit Bosses, but I will say this: maybe Pit Bosses and Gold Mike could be a Hunters Pit Bosses type of game as it was last season between the Hunters and the Pit Bosses.
Oh, yeah. 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 Yeah.
Hopefully, it could turn to that. Obviously, Sick wants to go into the game healthy and not have no major injuries going to the playoffs. as they play over the top. And again, which team of over the top are you going to get? That
Mm-hmm.
remains to be seen. We don't know. But we'd like to thank all you guys for chiming in and watching us here on the Mizzle and Dub Show A7FL recap show, which again, the Nightcrawlers claimed the Florida division again. The Chaos claimed the division title in Ohio. And of course, Vegas is still to be decided because there will be 2 makeup games on Memorial Day weekend, which we will have again. Pit Bosses in Gold, that's at 4 o'clock. And in the 7 o'clock game, Under the Lights, it will be a rematch of last year's highest scoring game ever in A7FL history
Oh,
between
baby.
Sick With It and Over the Top. And maybe, hopefully, they might let Savion Cunningham run with the football. Who knows?
Maybe. Be nice.
But I'll just be there, be behind the microphone, and call the game, and hopefully not get doused by Crisco grease. But that's another story for another day, as they were making Crisco references in the broadcast. And then I know when I said what I said talking about sweat and chicken grease, I know you lost your doggone mind. I know you did. Because every time I mention chicken grease, folks, Mizzle loses his absolute mind. So here's how it originated. So we're in California. We're at Brian's house, hanging out with Brian. And now this is back when I had, once upon a time, folks, Dub actually had hair and Dub actually had an afro. And it was a very nice, big, poofy afro. But nonetheless, I don't know what we were talking about. We were talking about something, and then just out of nowhere, I just randomly said, well, I sweat chicken grease. My co-host and my brother from another lost his doggone mind. He literally had to get up out of his chair and take a walk because he's like, did I really just hear this man say this? And ever since then, every time I mention sweat and chicken grease, it's like the first time I play that video when the WWF went to Steve Austin's house. And Austin's like, what the hell do you want?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
He'll get that reaction. But again, don't forget to watch the Mosey Williams record-breaking 109 trying to return. Again, that's in the Ghost Nightcrawlers game feed, to which you can hear Matt Ryan and Corey Hammond call that game so eloquently from their couches in New Jersey as they brought you the Florida Division championship game, for lack of a better term. But check that out. Also, check out the clips that Derek has posted on the A7FL Nevada page, where you saw the great touchdown between Munchie, Stone, and Mr. Wilkerson. You also saw the great blocking by Luciano, amongst other things.
Yeah.
So just take a watch, and please get the subscriptions up, or get the more subscriptions up, as the other side of the ball is trying to reach over 1K subscribers. So please,
almost there. Let's get it there.
Subscribe. Get those subscriptions up. Also, don't forget to check us out this upcoming Wednesday on the other side of the ball at 5:30 p.m. with myself, Knox25 Live, Chris Vera, and the Viking, Scott McCorkle. So please tune in for that, as we'll talk about what happened in Week 6, and we'll talk about Week 7, and probably perhaps some more playoff talk. And also, don't forget to check 3-on-1 podcast with Matt, Rob, and Corey. Also, as always, don't forget to check us out, the Mizzle and Dub Show, as this past week we celebrated our 200th episode, and also did 201. We eventually will do 202, possibly sometime tomorrow. It could be an early morning. It could be an early morning show. You never know. Sometimes we do like to throw. Sometimes we do like to throw curveballs on the Mizzle and Dub Show. But nonetheless, thank you to all the players for playing hard, because without you guys, we don't get to do a show talking about the A7FL. So if you have not checked out the A7FL, we advise you to please do so. There's a lot of content on the A7FL YouTube page where you can watch the archives and watch the history, as we are celebrating the 10th anniversary season. And again, like I said, shout out to Derek Duncan for allowing us to use our platform to help enhance and promote the A7FL, and definitely try to give them some enhancement, and hopefully that will lead to a big-time sponsor sponsoring the A7FL.
One can only hope. It deserves one.
But again, shout out to Mel Carey and Flash Media Sports. The tremendous job that he did
Yes.
today,
Yes.
wearing a lot of hats along with Derek, trying to make sure you guys get good feed. We know sometimes it was not easy because, again, trying to deal with the winds and dealing with the elements and trying to put together a
Very
production
difficult.
in football, it's difficult. But, Mel and Derek, they do what they do. Um,
Yeah.
shout out to them. And again, like I said, our thoughts and prayers with Lasante Anderson of the Gold as he's going through a challenge with his family. Obviously, same with Chris Vera. Hopefully, we will
Yes.
see Chris next week back in the booth with us, even though having Derek in the booth with us was an absolute joy and was
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
fun.
The impersonations were great. You guys were awesome with the impersonations as well.
Well, we do our best to try to entertain and fill in spots when the game is not competitive. And like I said, we hope you find it entertaining. And I mean, that's just what we do. But
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless, we'd like to thank everybody for watching us and letting us talk about the A7FL as Week 6 comes and goes. And now, for some, it's the home stretch as the playoffs are vastly approaching. It will start June 2nd in some areas. Here in Nevada, it will start June the 9th. As again, next week on Memorial Day weekend at 4 p.m., it will be the Pit Bosses taking on the Gold. And in the nightcap at 7, it will be. Final thoughts, my man, as we put a bow and a wrap on this one.
I just hope we can get more big man with football. It's
It's never disappointing.
never,
It never goes
never,
astray, and it never goes wrong.
never,
But
never.
also, to our viewers that do watch, if you want to be a guest on the show to talk about what happened in the games across the A7FL or
Doors always
specifically
open.
here in Nevada, please reach out to myself and Mizzle. The door is always open. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
whatever is on your mind, or if you want to, share some thoughts on other stuff going on in the league, please do so. Because, like I said, this platform is for you guys, and like I said, because of you guys, we are allowed to do this platform and talk about A7FL football. But
That is facts.
nonetheless, thank everybody for watching. As we are going to
Definitely take naps. Well, I
and
have to go to
take
work
naps
tomorrow.
for you tomorrow, as you do have a long day. But episode 202 of the Mizzle Dub Show will come sometime tomorrow. It could be in the morning, or it could be a rapid fire recap as some things happened in the playoffs. As
What
the
you thought was
Indians,
going to happen did not
yes,
possibly happen
did not
today.
happen.
Yeah.
Which, real quickly, well, I did announce this on the show, but I will be remiss if we did not do it. And of course, we will also do it on our episode 202. It doesn't matter if it's going to be tomorrow morning or later on tonight, but obviously, when we want to give our respects to one of the greatest of all time to ever wear the jersey of the silver and black. Um, when you really think of
Jim
the
Otto.
Oakland, when you really think of the Oakland Raiders of the 1960s, you really think of Double Zero, the
Mm-hmm.
center, Jim Otto, who played his whole entire 15-year career in the
Never
silver
missed
and
a
black,
game.
never missed a game. Um, right there, snapping the ball to LaMonica and Stabler in his 15 seasons in the silver and black, made the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Obviously, one of the all-time great Raiders, and of course, every time you saw the Maverick in his suite, in his box, sitting right next to him was Double Zero, and
Yes, indeed.
of course, one of the great stories that our good friend Uncle Boot Knife told back when he was digging cable stuff. He had the absolute privilege of going to Jim Otto's house and actually getting to talk to the Raider legend himself. So that is a great story
Lucky
that I'm
guy.
sure
Lucky guy.
I'm pretty sure Tony will cherish that for the rest of his life. I'm
Oh,
sure.
without
But nonetheless, thank you to everybody for chiming in and watching the Ace NFL again. Don't forget to check out the Other Side of the Ball podcast this upcoming Wednesday at 5:30 on the Other Side of the Ball YouTube channel. Again, of course, don't forget to check out our good friends, friends of the league, and friends of ours personally, the All Pro Jaffos on the Pruneda Brothers production
indeed.
channel. Of course, get their subscriptions up. Of course, talking about JP, Country K, and DJ Matchsticks, and of course, the 301 podcast with Matt, Rob, and Corey. Don't forget to get their subscriptions up and subscribe to them. And also, of course, us, the Mizzle and Dub Show. like I said, we just celebrated episode 200, which again we thank everybody
Everybody.
for chiming in and being a part of 200. As we said, our fourth anniversary is coming up, and again, our thanks to Derek Duncan for letting us use our platform to talk about A7FL football. But nonetheless, we're gonna go take naps now. Your boys, but we'd like to thank everybody for watching and liking this podcast slash broadcast. Like I said, we do this for y'all and for you guys' entertainment and enjoyment. Again, just one more plug.
Indeed.
If you want to come on this show and talk A7 and talk about things going on in the league,
Open.
again, like I said, reach out to myself or
Yes.
reach out to the man
Please
that
do.
eat football, sleep, and repeat, Mizzle Mason. But nonetheless, for Mizzle, I am Dub. We will say thank you for watching, and we will see you next week as we recap Week 7 and talk about the playoffs. But in the meantime, you guys enjoy the rest of your night, and may you guys have a good week. Take care of yourself and each other, and we will say for now, good night.
Peace out.